Thank you for tuning in to Entertain the Geeky, your source for nerd news.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Jason back at you with more nerd news. So huge week this week. We had the E3 conference announcing so many new games for all our favorite game systems. I am joined to talk about this monumentous yearly occasion by Mike, the video game guy.
Guess who's back? Back again. What's up, boys and girls?
So we are going to go through the E3 conference, and if you're not familiar, the E3 is the Electronic Entertainment Expo. It's a big convention for video games, so similar to what they do with Comic-Con and other things like that, they do with E3 for video games, where they announce all the new games, talk about, returning IPs, new IPs, all kinds of different things. So we're gonna start with Sony. We're gonna split this up into a few episodes because it was such a big conference. We're gonna do a Sony episode, a Nintendo episode, and a Microsoft episode. So we're gonna start with Sony, and I am gonna start where I think you want to start with Sony, with Death Stranding.
Oh, coming right out of the gate.
Yes, we are gonna start with Death Stranding.
So yeah, a game that was announced 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Not a lot of information has come out. They kind of slowly trickle things out. And I know that you're still pretty confused.
I mean, when I say I'm confused, I mean, yes, I am a little fuzzy about what this game will ultimately be, but I think we're starting to get pieces that are coming together, but it still is very exciting regardless of whether I'm understanding what the game will be or not.
I think the lack of understanding is what makes it exciting.
Also, it's Kojima finally, being completely free to do exactly what he wants to do with his games. This is his first game with his new production company. I love that the guy, when he was dismissed by Konami, whatever you want to call it, parting of the ways, I love that he was approached by so many different companies, like, hey, come work for us. We'll pay you whatever you want to make. And he said, thanks, I'm just going to start my own company. And I really hope that he becomes a huge success with Kojima Productions.
I do too. I think you can't argue that the guy's a genius. I mean, some people might say a mad genius. I know that there's a lot of things that some people have problems with.
Yeah.
His games are not for everybody.
No.
But they're for me.
Yeah.
I like weird stuff. I like things that have like that twist to the normal. I like grounding something, but then just adding in that weird little bit of maybe supernatural or cybernatural.
Yeah, the Metal Gear Solid franchise, it was a huge success, even with the fifth game, which was where their kind of parting of the ways started to develop.
It was an unfinished game.
Yeah.
It
was only unfinished in that one regard, though. We didn't get a conclusion to so everything came full circle except for what happened with the little kid that ultimately was Liquid Snake.
Sure. I was watching a video this morning. Apparently there was going to be a whole third chapter.
Yeah, it was a whole third act about him and Philanthropist.
You get a 2-act game. But that has no bearing on Death Stranding except for the fact that, it led to us getting this game. I'm super excited.
It also is, I think, in a small way, kind of a giant middle finger to Konami, because Silent Hills was to be his project with Norman Reedus.
Yep.
Guillermo del Toro was going to be writing the game. It was going to reboot the Silent Hill franchise. They had an awesome demo, the playable trailer, where, Lisa, the woman from Silent Hill 2, was the ghost that was haunting that house. Yep. So you had the connections back to the original franchise. But it definitely, we missed out on what could have been an awesome game, and then Capcom capitalized by releasing Resident Evil 7, which was kind of in the same vein.
That's what I thought too.
But so I think to make Death Stranding not only as a game to outshine his previous games, but also to use all the celebrities that he was going to use with his Silent Hills game is kind of a giant middle finger to Konami. Like, look, all these people are going to work with me anyway.
They weren't coming for Konami. They were coming for me.
They wanted to work with me.
Yeah, I mean, You could almost view the casting as being stunt casting, but so far everything we've seen just it looks like they are just bringing their A game. Like watching the motion capture and just the voice work that's being done. It looks really, really polished. We finally got a little bit of gameplay. It was walking.
It's apparently some kind of delivery man.
Yeah, but what is he delivering?
I don't know. There's one point where he's got a corpse.
Right.
In the trailer.
Or is it? Because there was this one trailer where he had that corpse, and then as these weird, inky Cthulhu people approach, it starts freaking out and then sinks into that oily substance. Is it actually dead?
Right.
Or is it some sort of catalyst
Stasis?
or something? I don't know. I mean, I'm getting a sort of a picture of what this game might be. I'm not really wanting to put that out there yet, but
yeah,
I think what this might be is just maybe the remnants of humanity trying their best to keep their history alive.
Right. Cling to something they had before.
I think that the things that are being delivered are just artifacts of the past.
Sure.
And trying to just keep any sort of semblance of their past alive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
Either way, I'm a huge fan of Hideo Kojima. I'm excited to see whatever this game is. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna be excited about it because I'm too much of a Metal Gear Solid and a Kojima fan to pass it.
Likewise.
Up. Yeah. And again, I want him to be successful. I want him to
just
go on to make great games and great money. Yeah, I want him to be a huge success. But real quick, I want to touch on something that I know you're itching to talk about too. Is that we've been given information that God of War is going to get a New Game Plus mode, which will allow you to play through the game on a slightly higher difficulty from where you were
with all your crap,
with everything that you've worked so hard to get. So when you're someone like yourself and apparently like me,
we both platinumed
the game, and I had to, I ended the game wearing the Valkyrie armor and using the Valkyrie weaponry
pommels and everything,
and stuff. Yeah.
So a New Game Plus in this game has to be done right. We were talking about it, and if it's just you get to use your stuff, that's not enough, right?
Yeah, there has to be some kind of other incentive.
Like playing at a higher difficulty, a forced higher difficulty, I think is definitely the right step. But then they also have to incentivize that with, like you said, like new armor and equipment.
Yeah,
so that way your level cap is not at like 8 or 9. You know,
you can exceed that level cap.
Right. Make it to where you're working towards something. Mm-hmm. Not just. I mean, there is something fun about just blazing through a game, I suppose. With all your cool stuff, but. Yeah, I mean, they've said they're not going to do DLC, so, hopefully they can just do a couple add-ons for this. But I'm excited to play it again. I'm going to wait a little while to see, what that looks like. I'm not going to dive right back into it.
And it's not like they are... The thing about it is, what I loved about what Santa Monica's done is they are not doing DLC, and New Game Plus is going to be added as a free patch to the game.
Just like photo mode. It's nice. It's nice to have something that has some semblance to old games where you bought it.
It's complete.
And that was it.
Yeah. Right? This is everything you're going to have to do.
Exactly. Yeah. It's cool that they can tweak things and everything, but I'm not having to go and pay for more content.
Right. Exactly. So moving on, just a big, huge thing. And we've talked about it on the show before, but Kingdom Hearts 3 finally has a release date.
Does.
January 29th.
January 29th.
2019.
4 days after Japan.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a simultaneous worldwide release. I found out earlier today that the reason why we're getting it not in 2018 is specifically so they could close that window.
Sure.
Because Japan, apparently they're still on track that it could be released in November or December. But if you were going to make that effort, why don't you just release the game the same day everywhere? So
certain markets.
I know that you and I are going to have to stay off the internet for 4 days. That's for sure.
I see. That's not me though. That's you, right? Spoilers don't bother me at all. Spoilers only add to my hype.
I'm okay with some spoilers, but I don't want to know what happens with Kingdom Hearts. This is a long time, man. This is 16 years.
That's true. Yeah, it has been a long time since we started this journey with Sora and Donald and Goofy.
I don't need to read the spoilers, man. I need to experience them.
Yeah.
They dropped 3 different trailers. I thought Sony's was the best with the Pirates of the Caribbean.
They were all pretty similar. They each had one element.
Had little differences, but Sony, they showed
the Pirates.
They showed, and within Pirates, they showed that Luxord, which is kind of an underutilized member of Organization 13 from 2.
Yeah.
He's back. Apparently, they're all back.
Yeah. How about seeing Ansem and Xehanort in the same shot?
Right.
I was like, they're the same person. One's the nobody and one's the heartless.
Right. And within the Sony one, they also showed you actually got to see Kyrie's new costume.
Yeah.
Which I guess for some people that's cool.
I think every time Kyrie gets a little older, her skirt gets a little shorter.
It's not a skirt. It's a mini dress. I think.
It doesn't matter. Whatever. It's a little shorter every time.
She still only would be 15. So yeah, creepy. Yeah. Thanks Japan.
Yeah.
But the craziest thing about that, all 3 of the trailers to me, is the reveal with Aqua.
Yeah.
They turn Blueberry Mom, and I'm not okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how all these divergent timelines and stories converge into a finale. Because Tetsuya Nomura has not said that this is the end of the Kingdom Hearts franchise,
He said it's
but he
the
has
end
hinted
of the
that
Seeker
it's
of Darkness.
But he has hinted that it might be the end of Sora's story.
Possibly.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see. It's Tetsuya Nomura. He'll never finish the series. We'll
No,
be dead.
but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, these are things that we want to go on, right? We want to keep playing them, but you know, the idea of dropping in new protagonists and new antagonists throughout the story, I think, will help keep it fresh for everyone. Because a lot of the, you know, I've picked up all the little remix things, but a lot of them, it's just, you know, the portable games that I never really cared to play anyway.
Birth by Sleep's awesome.
Birth by Sleep is Pokemon in Kingdom Hearts.
You're thinking of Dream Drop Distance.
Okay.
Birth by Sleep is where they introduced the...
was that the one where Roxas...
With Aqua Roxas.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Roxas.
Well, yeah, it's Ventus is his name,
and Terra. Yeah.
Terra. Yeah.
That, to me, arguably, that's the best gameplay that Kingdom Hearts ever put out. But arguably.
Truth be told, we haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3 yet. Well,
there we go. I think that might elevate it.
But so yeah, the introduction of New Worlds has been interesting. Finally getting a release date. And I'm you know... One of the things that's been bothering me that I've kept hearing from fans is, oh, it's just been delayed and it's been delayed and it's been delayed. And I'm just like, you can't delay a game until it has a release date. Right. If you miss your release date, now your game has been delayed.
Now it is delayed because they said 2018. So this is the first delay. For anyone that's ever said, I've been waiting for this, they've delayed this game so many times over the last 15 years.
No,
they haven't.
No, they haven't.
It's been delayed once.
Yeah.
By a month and 29 days.
Yeah. This year, right? Like... So yeah, I'm excited to finally have a release date. I was a little disappointed that because Square Enix is putting so much focus on Kingdom Hearts 3 right now that we didn't get any new information about the Final Fantasy 7 remake, which we probably won't be playing until like 2022 or something like that. I don't know.
It would have been nice, but I think anyone expecting that was had their head in the clouds. That we're not going to see that game on this console. It will not be on a PS4.
Yeah, I mean, Tetsuya Nomura, PS5. Tetsuya Nomura has talked about it and said, like, look, we're working on both games. The Final Fantasy VII remake is in development. Yeah. We are working on it very hard, but we're also working very hard on Kingdom Hearts, and that's been a more pressing priority for us here at Square Enix. So, that's good. Finally seeing Kingdom Hearts 3 have a release date. I want to finally come to a conclusion with Sora's story. Speaking of remakes, though, another one that is just been announced. Well, it hasn't just been announced. It's been rumored for a while. We finally got to see a trailer.
That trailer, to me, it came out of nowhere. I was not ready for it.
Resident Evil 2 is getting remade for current generation consoles.
I literally squeed when I was watching that trailer. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but there was just this moment when I was watching it, and I just knew.
Yeah.
But even still, I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
And then it was. Mm-hmm. Thoughts? How do you think it looks?
I think it looks great. First of all, I'm ready because I think that when you look at games like Resident Evil 4, which was an instant classic and a very, very well done Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 7, which is fantastic, changing it to first person, taking out a lot of the concepts that we had come to know so well. They're both great games. But Resident Evil 2, I think, was the peak of what made the franchise so good for me.
It's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, and when I'm talking, PlayStation 1 era, and it still, I think, holds up as one of the best survival horror experiences.
For sure. I mean, from a technical standpoint, there's no question that Resident Evil 4 is a better game.
Sure.
But it's not my favorite.
Right.
Resident Evil 2 was just so magic to me. The fact that you had two playable characters again,
Yep.
I mean, what's so interesting is like thinking about like now we love these characters, but that was a big deal, when they announced a second Resident Evil, and it's not Chris and Jill,
right?
Who are these new characters?
Leon and Claire.
There was a little bit of backlash at first, but now it's so funny. 21 years later,
right?
Almost, we're seeing just how excited people are for these characters that initially were like, no, where's Chris and Jill?
Well, not to mention in the original game how their stories intertwined, right? If you picked Leon or Claire, you started in the same place and you went through the game almost the same way. But once you reloaded that save data and chose the other character, you got to play the other side of the crash and start from a different starting point. So I wonder how they'll work that in.
Sure. I don't know if it's all going to be just like one experience now. if you do select.
No, they are saying that you will select either Leon or Claire to start the game with. Yeah.
Well, what I'm really curious to see then is once you've beaten it with both of them, do you remember how many different variations there were to the game after that? Like you could start in reverse. You could play as weird different characters in there.
Tofu and Hunk.
With the knife, yeah.
They're bringing back Tofu and Hunk. They talked to Shinji Mikami, and he said,
"It's ridiculous.
Look, these elements are really silly when you consider how realistic games are now.
Yeah.
But we are putting them in because they are classic elements."
I think, to me, they need to include everything that they had before.
Yeah,
all
the goofiness, all the silliness.
We were talking earlier about, apparently it's rumored that they might even have a mode where you can play with the old tank controls.
Yeah.
Which you're not super excited about?
No. Games have evolved too much. Those controls don't work anymore.
But you're gonna have your over-the-shoulder game still. I think there'd be something cool about being able to play with these enhanced graphics, but with the old control style. I think that'd be
the weird
pretty
static
neat.
camera, and moving forward makes you go forward, and moving backward makes you go backward.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah, but I'm super excited for that game, and I haven't been that excited for Resident Evil in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited just to go back to what I think is the best story they've told in a Resident Evil game.
Going back to Raccoon City,
the police department, just all of the introduction of the liquor as a new element within the story. Yeah, the introduction of the tyrant, as a more, I guess, hunter killer than just a bio experiment, because the tyrant is
the final boss.
The tyrant is the final boss, but it's still a monster at that point.
Right.
When you meet it in Resident Evil 2, it's a calculated killer. And that was on your second playthrough. You didn't even meet that thing until the second playthrough, and that became the final boss of that second playthrough, which was great because it turned into a big giant tentacle monster. I mean, it was crazy looking.
Sure. It's I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. But so just a couple of other quick things before we get to the final thing I want to talk about, which I feel like we're going to take up some time talking about. But they announced a new Call of Duty, so Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I know that's not your thing. That's not really my thing either, but it is a big part of Sony's platform at this point, and Microsoft's platform is these Call of Duty games, because there is a huge subsect.
They sell like hotcakes. I mean,
there is a huge subset of people that still love shooting each other in an online environment.
You're always going to get some new Call of Duty or Battlefield or something at every E3, and good for the fans of those games. They're just not for me.
So Black Ops 4 is coming. It's probably going to have new multiplayer features.
I wonder if it will be a zombies mode.
Yeah, I mean, it will probably do a new single player experience, because that's the thing I think they've been suffering. The multiplayer is really where they put their focus, but a single player story is still important for fans, right? To be able to go through it on their own and kind of get used to how the game plays and how the controls work.
And I think there's been a real emphasis on that in the last 2 years. God of War shows.
Yeah.
Single player is still a very, very viable.
Right. We need story.
Game.
Yeah. I want a cinematic experience to my game.
Yeah.
Right.
Likewise.
I want to cross that barrier between movie and video game, and I feel like I'm playing a part of a movie.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man game, this is a big one too, but I feel like we've had a lot of trailers and a lot of gameplay footage already leading up to this. The game already has a release date. It had a release date long before this E3. So really they showed off some new gameplay. They showed off a new trailer that showed some villains, like a Sinister Six kind of gathering with Electro and Scorpion and
Mr. Negative,
really cool. And Mysterio. Some really underutilized villains. And then obviously the big reveal of who's he talking to at the end of that trailer when he says you? Clearly there's one person that's united all these villains together.
It could be, one of a handful of people.
I feel like for me, I feel like it's probably Norman Osborn.
I think it's Goblin.
Because even if it's not Norman, right? A goblin, a hobgoblin, a green goblin, somebody, a goblin character, because that's the Moriarty to Spider-Man's Holmes,
But you would think that they would maybe not have that sort of oh no, it's you sort of thing. If it was that simple, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
I think they might be tricking us, Jason.
But you look at a game that is based on a superhero comic storyline, and they want to get as many villains in as they can. I mean, the first Batman Arkham game was Arkham Asylum. It had Croc, it had Joker, it had Poison Ivy, it had Harley, Scarecrow. You want to cram as many of those classic villains in the game as you can, because that makes for a more engaging story for your fans. Sure. And so I feel like Goblin has to play a part of it.
Maybe it's Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Cyborg Uncle Ben.
Maybe it's Miles.
It's
evil
you?
Miles from an alternate universe.
Or maybe it's Ben Riley.
Oh, God. Yeah, there's possibilities, but I think it's either someone like Norman or, Eddie Brock, Venom.
Right.
Seems like a logical thing to me, too.
Yeah.
But so definitely, the Spider-Man one, like I said, it's not really big giant news because it already kind of had a release date. I know I felt like you would have wanted to talk about Deracine.
Yeah.
It's a new VR experience from Software.
Yeah, so FromSoft is one of my favorite developers. They're the creators of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, Demon Souls, and they used to work on like Armored Core and stuff like that. I have no idea what it's about. I don't own PlayStation VR.
Right, me neither.
I'm tempted with this just because it's a FromSoft game. It looks cool. It kind of has a Victorian look like Bloodborne. I mean, there's very little information about it, but it looks cool. So this could open up a whole new world for me and
yeah.
gaming.
The problem with me, I can't do VR. I get motion sick,
right?
I do get motion sick. Like we went down to Universal Studios and got on that new Harry Potter ride, and it's a VR ride where they put a headset on you, and there was moments where I had to like pull the headset up because it was just it was making me nauseous.
It just seems like a pretty big investment for something I probably wouldn't use much.
It seems like gimmicky kind of thing to me.
It does. Who knows? Maybe this game will have a non-VR version of it. Probably
right,
not,
similar to like Final Fantasy 15.
But at the very least, I'll be able to watch a playthrough on YouTube.
Sure.
So, but I'm definitely intrigued just because FromSoft does weird stuff, and I like weird stuff.
Yeah. Also, and I mean, obviously this was announced at the Ubisoft press conference, but it's going to be a cross-platform one regardless, so we'll talk about it here. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which, I mean, I think Origins brought the franchise back to, a good place where it wasn't a game that was all about the collectibles. It was a game that was more about the storytelling. I don't know. Did you try out Origins?
So here's an admission, right? I've not. I have not played an Assassin's Creed since Black Flag. And this is from someone who was a huge Assassin's Creed fan up to that point.
Missed, two games?
And I love Black Flag. There's a few more than that, right? Because there's
Unity, which you can ignore. There's Syndicate, and then Origins.
But then there was also a few other little, like, I think they're like side scrolling.
They were side scrollers. Yeah.
I didn't play Brotherhood. I never played. I forget the name. It was at first it was only on Xbox, I believe, where you got to play as
Altair and
the one girl from Connor's era.
Yeah.
I forget what that was called. But I mean,
Freedom Cry.
Something like that maybe. But I feel like I've missed out on a bit, and so I don't think this year, because I just don't think I have time to fit it in. But I think next year I'm going to try and catch up with Assassin's Creed. That all being said, Origins to me looks incredible. It just
fun.
Looks fantastic. It looks like they corrected a lot of the issues I've had with Assassin's Creed. And now Odyssey. Now you're speaking my language.
This is Sparta, man.
You're speaking my language there.
You want to live out all your 300 fantasies, man.
I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
It's a great setting for the Assassin's Creed franchise. I think there's a lot of cool things you could do. I'm more interested in that than I am Origins, to be honest.
Sure.
That pantheon is more interesting.
Right. I love the ancient Egyptian thing, but as far as being more excited, I agree. I'm more excited about the Odyssey timeline because I love ancient Greece. I love the Spartans. I love their whole Zeus. Yeah. I love everything about what their culture was.
They have to do something where they tie it in to original God of War, right? They've got to put out a costume or something, right? Or give you something Blade of Chaosy,
or give you some kind of skin that makes your skin white.
Yeah, just they've got to tie that in somehow. If they don't, color me disappointed.
Yeah, it would be funny.
But I definitely think I'll be giving that one a try. I'll be honest, I really like the Desmond Miles story, and I miss it, and that's where I kind of drifted away. So
sure.
I would love to see them do more with the modern day stuff, and maybe they did, and I just don't know. But it seems like they really got away from that. And to be honest, that central conceit was what got me into the series.
Well, they took it to a place where the for a while they took it to a place where when you were outside of the Animus, you were nobody. You were you, right? You was a first-person thing where you were never the protagonist in the present day was never known to you, right? Because you were studying
like
someone else's DNA.
Basically, you were a developer for Ubisoft in Black Flag.
Yes, you were studying someone else's DNA. But then when they did Origins, it actually became another person that is the antagonist or the protagonist for the story. And I think I've not finished Origins yet, so I don't know if she makes it out, if anything happens to her. But the ancestor you're tracking is definitely her ancestor, and think that could be something that goes into Odyssey as well. Okay. Yeah.
I would just like to see them bring that whole storyline back, because it really seems like they just kind of, cast it aside. Yeah. Which would be fun. Like, the games would be fine on their own, but that duality is why I got into the series.
Sure. Yeah. So, a new Assassin's Creed game is not, again, the biggest news, but I do like the era. I do like the story that they're going to tell. I'm excited. But the big one, the big one that I want to finish strong on here is Last of Us 2.
What's that game?
Yeah, shut up.
Never heard of it.
Shut up. Last of Us, I mean, obviously is huge. I mean, it's and if you catch this this week, I think it's on sale. The remaster on PS4 on PlayStation. The PlayStation Store is on sale for like $10 right now.
Pick that up.
Yeah, because if you've not played Last of Us, you're missing out.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece of gaming. The opening of that game is easily one of the greatest, sequences I've ever seen in a video game.
You just gave me chills, Jason.
Yeah. Well, that's because the opening is so sad and tragic and action-packed, and everything just falls apart so quickly. It's amazing.
It's amazing, and it set a precedent for games to follow. Like, there's been several games that have kind of eked this formula.
Emulated it in some way. Yeah,
and I'm okay with that.
I even think God of War kind of takes a little bit from Last of Us. Yeah.
Absolutely is. Yeah. You basically dad simulator.
Yeah.
The game, beyond just the action elements of the first one, those quiet moments, man. If you haven't played it, this is going to sound weird, but the giraffes, man.
I know, right?
It's just
there's moments where you're safe, but there's still a growing tension in everything that you do, in every crack that you hear, every door that you open. There's still this just tension that's built around this world, and it's not even a zombie game in its truest respect, right? It's based on a real thing that can happen. Yeah, a real fungus. Yeah, right?
Like, the closest thing to actual zombies there are, right?
Yeah. It happens to bugs. Like, it can reanimate
the nervous system.
Yeah, it can reanimate the nervous system of dead insects. Yeah. Like, creepy.
But that first game, I became Joel, right? Like, and I felt awful about a lot of the things I did, and
you feel such a deep connection to Joel and Ellie, and it just becomes like a family thing,
I don't have kids, and my wife and I are planning on having kids, but man, I wanted to protect her. I just wanted to protect her. Yeah. And I feel like saying too much about the story of the second one for anyone that hasn't played the first kind of gives away some big things. So
honestly, if you're listening to this, we're probably gonna spoil some things as we talk about this. So if you don't want to hear about it, this is where we're gonna end our episode. So you can go ahead and cut yourself off right now, and you won't have to worry about it. So we'll give you a second to do that. But yeah, I mean, just the preview, just seeing Ellie being the main character now,
and there's the big spoiler, right?
Because
I thought Ellie was gonna die in the first one.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, in fact, before I ever played it, I had read a spoiler that somebody lied about and said, like, oh yeah, the kid dies, and I was like, well, crap. And then when she didn't, I was like, wait, is the game over?
Yeah.
So like, I had a false spoiler that I stumbled on, but getting to play as her, it's a great logical progression. Yeah. I'm really curious to see what happened to Joel.
Yeah.
I don't think he's dead.
I don't know. I mean, in all reality, I believe that Joel's dead, and they would just gloss that over and have it be like something flashbacky that drives her throughout the narrative.
Maybe Joel has just become kind of like an elder statesman. He's probably just like in the background.
Right. He's not running around shooting stuff anymore.
Yeah. I think I don't see them just killing him off screen. Maybe
No, but I could see that being woven into the narrative in a way that we don't know what happened,
flashbacks,
but we get pieces of information throughout the narrative
That'd be cool.
that ultimately fill in what happened to Joel. But the game looks fantastic.
That gameplay, like, you guys can't see
I
the
know.
dodge that I'm doing, but the dodge, it's the most fluid and natural thing that I've ever seen. You know, it looks like real life.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's what I think the first one did really well too. Yeah. It's very gritty and grounded in a reality. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. You know, this is probably one of the most anticipated sequels in a long time.
For sure.
You know, I think the last probably most anticipated sequel was God of War.
Yeah. Because
people were very excited about that, and we've got our hands on it, and it's great. But yeah, Last of Us 2, I mean, it's been a long time coming.
For sure. I definitely, I think the highlight of that presentation.
Yeah.
So,
and it's going to be worth picking up the remastered version if you haven't played the game and going back and playing that game, because, you know, obviously based on the trailer that we saw and the gameplay stuff that we saw, I mean, this narrative is just continuing right where the last one left off in some ways, you know, and probably in a lot of ways. Like I said, if we get, you know, flashbacks and things woven into the narrative, it might be in a lot more ways than we think. But I'm interested finally to get more story about Ellie as the protagonist, as the, you know, the main protagonist of the story. We're focusing on her instead of Joel.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you ever played like the DLC, but you know, you got a little bit of her backstory. And so, I mean, you know, not to get on like a hot topic here or anything, but, you know, like, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have something to say about her sexuality. You know, the fact that she's, you know, kissing a girl, that was established
in her
in the
DLC.
You know, this is not a new thing. So anyone that, you know, tries to be like, oh, they're just shoehorning that in to be topical or anything, it's not. It's an established.
Well, and honestly, I mean, you know, I might pick up the remaster because I didn't have it on PS4. I had it on PS3.
Oh, you haven't played it on PS4?
No, so I haven't played it on PS4 at all yet. So I might pick up the cheap remaster right now while it's on sale.
If you don't want to do that, I'll just give it to you to play.
Sure.
You know? I got it. So
yeah.
It's pretty great.
But I think the remaster comes with all the DLC, doesn't it?
No, I don't think it does. Maybe there's like a bundle, but no, I think you still have to download.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
That's lame.
I bought that game back in 2012. No, I'm sorry, like 2014.
You know, by the time they remastered Batman Arkham City, I didn't have to buy all that Harley or that Catwoman DLC again.
Man, all the money that I spent on Arkham, don't get me started.
Yeah, too much.
But yeah, it's...
But yeah, I mean, I think this is of Sony's whole thing. You know, I think Last of Us 2 is definitely the highlight for me.
Which is maybe why they shouldn't have started with it. But that's the presentation itself. That's a topic for another discussion.
Sure, yeah.
Like their conference was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
To show Last of Us 2, and then 20 minutes later you get the next game because they moved everybody out of the auditorium. Come on, Sony.
Right.
You got to think.
Yeah.
You got to think.
But it is something that's gotten the fans very excited.
Yes.
The gameplay looks great. Graphically, I mean, the game seems like a huge step forward. And I say that after having just said that about God of War. Right? God of War was a huge step forward graphically.
How can it look even better?
Right. How can we get better than that? But somehow, some way, they found a way, and that's Last of Us 2.
I just hope that we don't approach that uncanny valley, though.
Yeah. It's true.
It's not. I don't think it's there yet.
No, I don't think so.
I worry.
We're eking along the precipice.
It looks pretty damn good.
It does. But so that was just our coverage on Sony. Again, we're going to come back at you later this week with more on Microsoft and Nintendo, respectively. But overall, I mean, I think Sony's great. I'm excited about some of their exclusive properties like Kingdom Hearts. Well, Kingdom Hearts, I guess, is not going to be anymore. But Spider-Man, the Resident Evil 2 remake, Death Stranding. I'm excited about these exclusive things that are coming. It's why I'm a Sony fan. It's why we started with Sony. It's my thing. Yeah, and I think it's your thing too.
It definitely is. I mean, I'll be a Nintendo fanboy for life, but I'm also a Sony fanboy. And, you know, looking at the list of games that I was interested in, every game Sony showed, I was interested in. Yeah. Every single one of them. And that they're the only company that did that for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been a Microsoft guy in a long time, and I don't have a Switch, but I will agree with you because I think after watching those presentations, watching the Sony present, I want to play all these things. Yeah. I want all of these things. I won't be able to play all of these things, but I would love to be able to.
Like definitely, like as far as just the games go, to me, they had the most like anticipated games for me.
Yeah.
As far as the actual conference itself, not my favorite.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks, guys, for sitting in and listening. Thanks, Mike, for always being our video game guy.
You're welcome.
coming to talk about all of these things. Guys, do me a favor. If you're digging what we're putting down, head on over to entertainthegeeky.com. All the games we just talked about, we've got all the trailers there. I had been following it all week and just putting trailers up all day, every day. It was 2-3 days of just constant internet surfing and making sure that all of you fans out there were aware of what was going on. We are on Facebook if you're more into the social media stuff. All the stuff will be linked there as well, the blogs, all the E3 trailers. It's facebook.com/entertainmentgeeky. If Twitter is more your social media platform of choice, we are there as well at entertaingeeky. And keep your eyes open in the future. We are going to have our Kickstarter for our first EG game project, Conniving Cooks. We're very excited about this. We want to bring it to you. We're stoked on it. We're going to be doing some demos of it. We're going to get some copies printed prior to the Kickstarter launch. So keep your ears open for that. We'll update you as more information becomes available. And we're going to see you guys next time. Until then, stay geeky.